Assalamu alaikum. This is our lecture number 42 of Managerial Economics, and the topic under discussion is risk analysis. In our previous two lectures, we have defined risk, certainty and uncertainty, and then in the same lecture we have estimated how to measure the risk using different methods. And in our previous lectures we have considered some of the methods. By using those methods we can eliminate or we can reduce the element of risk. In these methods, while discussing these methods, we have seen that there are certain managers. There is a class of manager which are risk neutral, risk seekers, but most of the managers are risk averters. And we have seen that this concept of risk aversion, it depends on the principle of diminishing marginal utility for money, which is reflected by the total utility curve of money of the risk averse managers. And we have seen that the total utility or the utility function that they faces is concave and it faces downwards. Now, we have seen in order to, as I said earlier, in order to counter this element of risk, we have considered expected utility, the concept of expected utility, and we have seen that risk averse managers, they want to maximize their expected utility rather than expected returns or monetary returns. And for this purpose, we have used an example, and we have seen that the risk averse manager will not undertake a venture for which the monetary returns are positive, but the expected utility was negative. Next, we have considered two other methods, and we have used for that purpose valuation model of the firm. And there we have seen that these two methods were, number one, risk adjusted discount rate, and the second method was certainty equivalent approach. In the first method, we have incorporated the risk element by modifying the denominator, that is by adding risk premium to the risk-free discount rates, which is used to find the net cash flow of the investment. So this is the first method, and in the second method what we have done is that we have modified the numerator, and there we have multiplied the net cash flow in the numerator by the certainty equivalent coefficient. This coefficient is denoted by the symbol alpha, and alpha is a ratio of the equivalent certain sum and the risky expected sum of the investment. So this is how we have used these two methods, but the problem or the decision that we have to make is which method is a better method. For this purpose, I would like to quote an example of a survey which was conducted in 1977 in the US, and in this case, in this survey 103 firms have responded, and out of these 103 respondents, 71% said that yes, they use risk as risk explicitly in their decision making process, while 29% said that they do not. Of these 71% who said yes, they do consider risk as an element of decision making process, 43% said that they use the first method, that is the risk adjusted discount method, while 26% said that they use the second method, that is the certainty equivalent approach method, and the remaining 31% said that they use some other subjective method. So from the results of this survey, we can conclude that the most popular method in this case is the risk adjusted discount rate method, and the reason for this popularity is simple, that it is easiest to calculate. Now, as far as today's lecture is concerned, we are going to consider some more techniques to face this element of risk, and these techniques include number one, decision tree, and the number two is computer simulation. On your screen, you can see the formal definition of a decision tree. As we can see here, that a decision tree is a sequential decision making process. So a sequence is involved here. Decision trees are designed for analyzing decision problems That involves a series of choice alternatives that are constrained by previous decisions. Decisions points, as you can see on screen, these are instances where management must select among several choice alternatives, and chance events are possible outcomes following each decision point. So here we have seen that as far as the formal definition of this decision tree method is concerned, this is called a decision tree because the diagram that you can see on screen, it resembles the branches of a tree. The firm has to make a major decision, that is considering कि उसको एक large plant लगाना है या एक small या medium plant लगाना है या और कोई भी decision हो सकता है investment से related, जैसे कि prices जो हैं वो high charge करेगी या low prices charge करेगी. That is about the pricing policy. As you can see in the diagram, there is a box on the left hand side of the diagram. This is called a decision point. A box is representing a decision point where, as you can see, many circles in the diagrams, and those circles are presenting different state of nature. Now, if we look at this diagram, and we can see that the firm has to decide whether to charge high prices for its products or to charge low prices. So this is about the pricing policy of the firm. If the firm decides to charge high prices, now in this case we have not assigned any probabilities. The reason is that the firm, it is under the control of the firm to charge a high price or a low price, and if it decides to charge a high price, then the firm is to decide how much to charge, and if on the other hand it decides to charge a low price, then the firm has to decide how much to charge. So यहाँ पे probabilities हमने assign नहीं की हैं. Once the firm decides to charge, let's say, a high price, which is indicated by the upper branch, and the lower branch is indicating if the firm adopts the policy or the pricing strategy of low prices. Then there are further state of nature. इसमें further जो इसमें possibility है वो ये है कि what will be the reaction of the other firms. Now the reactions of the other firms are, again, there are two possible outcomes. That is, the firm will also charge high prices or maybe low prices. So for each of these two branches, now we have further two branches. Sub branches जो हैं वो इसमें आ गई हैं, जिसकी वजह से हम इसे decision tree कहते हैं. That is the firm. That is, here the diagram is, it is similar to the branches of a tree. Now we can see that in section 2 here, you can see that there are the firms, the other firms, that is the reactions of the other firms are shown in section 3, and the other firms might react. That is, if our firm is adopting a pricing policy of high prices, तो इसमें दो reaction हो सकते हैं. That is, they also charge high prices or they charge low prices. And since it is not under the control of the firm, that is the reaction of the other firms, it is not controlled by the firm itself. Therefore, different probabilities will be assigned. और यहाँ पे हम देख सकते हैं कि 60% हमने probability जो है कि दूसरी firms जो हैं वो भी high prices charge करेंगे, that is, and 40% probability is that the other firms will charge low prices. So 0.6 and 0.4 plus 0.6 plus 0.4 makes equal to 1. और अगर हम percentage में express करेंगे तो 60-40, that is equal to 100%. Similarly, if on the other hand we assume that the firm decides to charge lower prices, तो इसमें भी हम देख सकते हैं कि दो probabilities हैं कि दूसरी firms का reaction क्या होगा. From our knowledge of the theory of oligopoly, we know that if one firm decides to charge a low price, the other firms will follow it. Majority of the firms will also charge lower prices. तो इसमें हम देख सकते हैं that we have assigned a probability of 80% that the other firms will also charge low prices, and only 20% will charge a high price. So that we can see that 0.8 and the probability assigned is 0.8 and 0.2. Once this is decided, अगर हमें पता चल जाता है कि ठीक है हमारी जो firm है उसने ये decide किया है that it will charge a high price, and assuming that the other firms, that is the competitors' reaction is also to charge a high price, This can be done under 3 state of economy, that is the economy is booming, it is normal, or it is under in the recessionary period. So in that case we have again assigned different probabilities, जैसे कि आप screen पे देख सकते हैं. These are 0.3, 0.5 and 0.2 respectively. For booming condition and for the normal condition it is 0.5 and for the recession it is 0.2. So you can see that now there are 12 branches, sub-branches, that is there are possible outcomes, 12 possible outcomes for each of these which are associated for each of these decisions. अब यहाँ पे नेक्स्ट सेशन जो है उसमें आप देख सकते हैं कि इसको भी जब हमने प्रोबेबिलिटी हमने दी कि जो दूसरी फॉर्म्स हैं उनका क्या रिएक्शन होगा, और फिर इसके बाद फर्दर हमने प्रोबेबिलिटीज़ असाइन की हैं कि नॉर्मल कंडीशन की क्या प्रोबेबिलिटी है और बूम की क्या प्रोबेबिलिटी है और रिसेशन की क्या प्रोबेबिलिटी है. नाउ इन द नेक्स्ट सेशन एज यू कैन सी ऑन द स्क्रीन, that is section 4. This section 4 is obtained by multiplying the section 3 to section 2 and we get the joint probabilities. In the next section, that is section 5, we can see the net present values of profits which have been calculated by the firm, and these are calculated for each possible outcome, that is in this case the possible outcomes are 12. And the last section, that is section 6, as you can see on screen, here we have multiplied the probabilities by the each NPV, that is the net profit which is expected. By multiplying these, that is the section 4 and section 5, we get section 6, and here we can see the expected value or expected profit from each possible outcome, and obviously here we get 12 possible expected values. And then by taking the sum of the first 6, we can get the expected value of the high pricing policy, and by taking the sum of the products in the 6th section of the last 6 outcomes, we get the expected return or expected profit from the low pricing strategy. So by comparing these two values, that is the expected return from the high pricing and from the low pricing, the firm can decide which pricing policy to adopt. And in this case, we can see that the expected return from the high pricing policy is greater than the low pricing policy. Therefore, the firm will discard the low pricing policy and it will adopt the high pricing strategy in this case. So this is how decision trees are used while the risk element is there. Now the second method is, as I said earlier, it is simulation method, and simulation में computer जो है वो ज़्यादा use होता है. In case of simulation, that is जैसे कि अभी हमने decision tree में देखा, that was a simple problem, but in order to face the more complex real world decision making problems, computer is used and computer simulation is used. In this case, the first step which is required is to construct a mathematical model. Then this model specifies the relationship among the variables by using mathematical form or functional form, that is the relationship between the output and commodity prices, the output, input prices and cost of production, similarly output and selling cost, depreciation, और इसी तरह से different जो variables हैं उनका जो है हम relationship mathematically उसको देखेंगे by making use of computers. So in this case, the model builder, he has to estimate the probability distribution for each of the variables that are involved in the model. So this means that if we have to simulate, let's say, the expansion of output and it is full-fledged simulation, in that case इसमें जो जितने भी variables हैं जो involved हैं उनकी probability distribution जो है वो calculate की जाएगी. Computer से calculate कर सकते हैं और इसमें sophisticated software जो हैं वो use होते हैं. So in this case, obviously all the variables involved, that is output, input prices, commodity prices, depreciation, selling cost, cost of production, and for all of these variables the probability distributions are calculated. और इसके बाद इनको काफ़ी दफ़ा जो है इसको रन किया जाता है और इस तरह से हम देख सकते हैं कि जो डिफरेंट वेरिएबल्स यहाँ पे जो यूज़ हो रहे होते हैं फॉर ईच ऑफ टिपिकली फॉर ईच ऑफ दीज वेरिएबल्स एज फार एज द प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी और रिटर्न इज कंसर्न्ड दैट इज फॉर सम वेरिएबल्स इट इज़ मोस्ट सेंसिटिव एंड फॉर द अदर वेरिएबल्स इट इज़ नॉट. So in this case, the attention is focused on the variables for which the profitability is most sensitive, and that is called sensitivity analysis. As far as the sensitivity analysis is concerned, it is much less costly. ये जो है, if we consider the full scale computer simulation, that is very expensive and extremely time consuming, but as compared to this, the sensitivity analysis is much less time consuming and much less expensive. लेकिन इससे भी रिज़ल्ट्स जो हैं, जो भी हम इससे रिज़ल्ट फाइंड आउट करते हैं, वो भी काफ़ी वैल्यूएबल होते हैं और उससे भी हम जो है अंदाज़ा लगा सकते हैं और रिस्क एलिमेंट को किसी हद तक उसको कंट्रोल किया जा सकता है. So in this case, as we have seen, that we have to see the full scale, that is whether the firm is going to use a full scale simulation, that is full fledged simulation, or sensitivity analysis जो है वो करेगी. This will depend on the size of the project. If the project is very large and it involves a cost of millions of dollars, then obviously the full-fledged computer simulation is undertaken. Otherwise इसमें फिर sensitivity analysis को इस्तेमाल किया जाता है, क्योंकि बहुत बड़े project के लिए जो full-fledged है simulation, वो computer simulation use की जाती है, because it's very costly and it is also extremely time consuming. Now let's consider a computer simulation example, which you can see on screen, assuming that there are two projects, that is X and Project Y. And after the simulation, the results that we have obtained, you can see them on your screen. The cost of the project X and Project Y, it's the same, that is $20 million. The average return is 15% for Project X and 20% for Project Y. But the range of this is only average return. The range of the return for Project X is from -10 to 45%, and the range for Project Y is from 5% to 25%. While the standard deviation for Project X is 4 and for Project Y is 12. As a result, the coefficient of variation for Project X is 0.267 and for Project Y it is 0.60. So clearly Project Y is riskier than Project X, because here we can see that the coefficient of variation is larger for Project Y as compared to Project X. Next slide में आप देख सकते हैं results, और यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं that we have drawn graphically the simulation results here presenting Project X and Project Y, जिसमें कि आप clearly देख सकते हैं the spread of the Project Y, that is the coefficient of variation, as we have said, it is larger for Project Y than for Project X. तो graphically भी हम यहाँ पे conclude कर सकते हैं that Project Y is riskier than the Project X. So here we have considered today two methods that can be used to two other methods, that is the computer simulation and the decision tree, which can be used to reduce the element of risk. Now next we are going to consider the situation of uncertainty. For this purpose, as we have already said, that under uncertainty it is very difficult to assign probabilities. Why? The reason is that the manager, we assume that the manager does not know the probabilities of different outcomes. और reason हमने ये भी बताई थी कि एक decision के लिए there are more than one outcome, but same is the case with the risk. But there, in case of risk, the probabilities can be either they are known or they can be estimated. And we have said that statistical probabilities, they are calculated on the basis of the past data. So in this case, under this situation of uncertainty, the probabilities are not meaningful. Even if they are estimated, they are not meaningful. Why? The reason is that the past data may be insufficient, or maybe the data is not reliable. What to do about the uncertainty? Under the situation of uncertainty, there are two rules that are applicable. That is the two decision making rules which are applicable in this case. जिससे कि हम ये कह सकते हैं that we can not be able to remove the element of uncertainty entirely, but by making use of these methods we can reduce the harmful consequences of uncertainty. And these methods that we are going to consider now are, number one is called Maximin criterion, and number two is called Minimax regret criterion. Under the condition of uncertainty, the first principle that we are going to discuss is Maximin. And in this case, it is assumed that the decision maker will determine the worst possible outcomes for each strategy and then pick the strategy that provides the best possible outcome. Now, this makes, in order to explain this complicated statement, we are going to use an example where we are assuming that the firm has to decide to launch a new product, and the probability here, as you can see on screen, the table in which the payoff table or payoff matrix is given, and here the probabilities are not assigned. Why? As I said earlier, that we are dealing with uncertainty now. Therefore, the probabilities, we are assuming that the manager does not know the probability, or he cannot estimate the probabilities under the condition of uncertainty. So you can see on the screen that there are two states of nature, that is two strategies open to the firm. One is to invest and the other is not to invest. And if the firm decides to invest, there are two possible outcomes. One is that it succeeds, and in that case, if it succeeded, then in that case the return would be equal to $20,000. But if it failed, if the venture failed, then the loss is equal to $10,000. This is what you can see in the payoff matrix that we are showing on screen. You can see the strategies are invest or do not invest, and the state of nature are success and failure. In the first column, as you can see that in case of success, the return is $20,000. But if the firm decides not to invest, then the return will be equal to $0. और सेकेंड कॉलम को जब आप देखते हैं, दैट इज़ द अदर स्टेट ऑफ नेचर इन केस द फर्म द वेंचर और द इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रोजेक्ट फेल्स. इन दैट केस द फर्म incur a loss of 10,000. So obviously if the firm decides to invest, the possibilities or the outcomes are success and the return is $20,000, or the possibility is a failure and the loss is equal to $10,000. In case the firm decides not to invest, the return and loss are both equal to $0. So as I said earlier, in this case, the firm or the manager has to determine the worst possible outcomes, and then once he picks these worst possible outcomes, then he picks the best possible out of these worst possible. That is why the name Maximin is used. That is, first he will pick the worst possible outcomes, that is the minimum. और इसके बाद उसने इसमें से बेस्ट जो है, दैट इज़ द मैक्सिमम आउटकम दैट इज़ टू बी यूज्ड हियर, द मैक्सिमम पे ऑफ. तो आप स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं, दैट इज़ इफ़ यू लुक एट द फर्स्ट रो, that is the first strategy. The first strategy is that the firm decides to invest. So in this case, as you can see that the first row here for the invest, that is the case where the firm decides for investing. तो इसमें जो worst possible है, that is the worst possible outcome is, if you compare 20,000 with minus 10,000, then obviously the worst possible outcome is minus 10,000. So the manager picks that is the worst possible outcome, and it is recorded in the last column of the Maximin payoff matrix, और या इसको Maximin column B कहते हैं. So we record this worst possible outcome, that is minus 10,000. टॉप में हमने जो कॉलम है उसमें यहाँ पे ये एंट्री जो है उसमें एंटर कर दी है. Now look at the second row, which is the second strategy, and that is the deciding of not investing. In this case, obviously the result is the same. The outcome for not investing, आप देख सकते हैं, this is equal to 0. So the worst possible outcome is 0 in this case. अगर हम column wise देखते हैं, तो सक्सेस की जो स्टेट ऑफ नेचर है, देयर यू कैन सी जो फर्स्ट रो में हम देख रहे हैं फॉर इन्वेस्टमेंट एंड द सेकेंड रो इज डू नॉट इन्वेस्ट. सो द फर्म और द मैनेजर विल सिलेक्ट द वर्स्ट पॉसिबल आउटकम्स. These worst possible outcomes are recorded in the last column, that is the maximum column, and these are minus 10,000 and 0. Now, if we compare these two values, that is 0 and minus 10,000, then obviously the best of these is, if we compare 0 and minus 10,000, obviously 0 is the better. सो इस सूरत में जो हम देख सकते हैं कि अल्टीमेटली जो उसने डिसाइड करना है, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इन द फर्स्ट स्टेप ही हैज़ टू पिक और ही हैज़ टू डिटर्मिन द वर्स्ट पॉसिबल आउटकम्स ऑफ ईच स्ट्रैटेजी. और यहाँ पे जो स्ट्रैटेजीज थी वो ओपन थी इन्वेस्ट, दैट इज़ द फर्म हैज़ टू इन्वेस्ट और नॉट टू इन्वेस्ट. इफ़ इट डिसाइड्स टू इन्वेस्ट तो इसके पास जो आउटकम्स थे वो 20,000 और जो लॉस है दैट इज़ 10,000 माइनस 10,000. So obviously यहाँ पे जो worst possible outcome था that was minus 10,000, and in the second row where the second strategy, as far as the second strategy is involved, that is do not invest. If the firm decides not to invest, in that case the return and loss is both are equal to 0. So यहाँ पे हमने 0 record किया है जो second जो bottom में element है. Now the second step involved in the maximum principle is that now the manager decides or picks the strategy which provides the maximum or best results. That is the best of the best means maximum of the worst, that is minimum. तो इसलिए इसका नाम जो है that is why the name maximum is used. So in this case if we look at this and we now move on to the next slide, we can see that the payoff matrix below shows the payoff from the two state of nature and two strategies. For the strategy invest, the worst outcome is a loss of 10,000. For the strategy do not invest, the worst outcome is 0. So the maximum strategy is the best of the two worst outcomes, that is do not invest, which is जिसको आप देख सकते हैं, that is in this case the firm will pick the strategy do not invest. Because do not invest क्यों उसने किया है, because this is the best of the worst possible. अब worst possible results हमारे पास थे minus 10,000 and 0. Comparing these two, the best result is 0. The best payoff of the strategy, the given strategy is 0, and that strategy is to do not invest. So according to Maximin rule, decision making rule, the firm will decide that it will not invest in this project and it will not introduce the new product. So this decision making principle, that is Maximin, it is considered to be a conservative approach, that is a pessimistic approach. And we cannot right away reject this as being a naive or unsophisticated method. The reason is that there are some situations where this rule is applied. For instance, if the firm is strongly averse to the risk, then that this principle is used. और strongly averse वो क्यों होगी कि अगर उसका size जो है, if the size of the firm is very small and the very existence of the firm or the survival of the firm, it depends on the decision, on this decision not to undertake risk or losses. तो इस सूरत में अगर फर्म का साइज़ जो है वो बहुत छोटा है और अगर कोई ऐसा डिसीजन लिया जाता है जिसमें फर्म को बहुत ज़्यादा लॉस हो जाता है, तो फर्म जो है इट विल नॉट बी एबल टू सर्वाइव इन दैट केस. सो इन दैट केस this rule, that is the decision making rule of Maximin, is appropriate in that case. And this also depends that this rule, whether this rule is to be applied or not, it will also depend on the degree of the aversion of the managers. अगर managers जो हैं वो बहुत बड़ी firm से भी हैं, लेकिन अगर उनका attitude जो है towards risk is highly risk averse, in that case obviously they will adopt this decision making rule. The other situation in which this rule, that is the decision-making rule of Maximin, is applicable is under oligopoly. Under oligopoly, we have seen that if one firm decides to cut prices, the other firm also follow this. और इससे क्या होता है कि सारी firms जो हैं जब वो price को कम करती हैं तो overall profit जो है वो कम हो जाता है. तो इस सूरत में भी ये जो rule है, which is considered to be a pessimistic rule, this is applicable under that situation. Next, we are going to consider the minimax regret criterion. The minimax regret criterion, for its formal definition, let's see the definition of this rule on screen, which says that minimax regret criterion states that the decision maker should minimize the maximum possible regret, that is opportunity loss, associated with a wrong decision after the fact. This criterion instructs one to minimize the difference between possible outcomes and the best outcome for each state of nature. In game theory, opportunity loss is defined as the difference between a given payoff and the highest possible payoff for the resulting state of nature. Now, in order to explain this, that is the this rule, which is minimax regret criterion, we have said that in this case the manager or the firm will try to determine or to choose the strategy which is associated with the highest or the maximum regret. Now, what is mean by the regret? आप एक डिसीजन लेते हैं और इसके बाद आपका जो डिसीजन है, लेट्स से कोई भी डिसीजन है जिसमें कि आप सक्सेसफुल होते हैं तो आपको कोई रिग्रेट नहीं होता. इन दैट केस द रिग्रेट विल बी इक्वल टू ज़ीरो. बट हियर वी आर कंसिडरिंग द डिसीजन मेकिंग प्रोसेस which is related to the investment. So in this case, the firm, first of all, it will choose the decision, choose the maximum regret. That is the maximum regret, और इसके बाद इसको minimize किया जाएगा. That is, the firm will try to minimize the maximum regret. So in this case, we are saying that the regret is to be minimized, and we have seen that regret is the difference between the largest payoff of the best strategy and the strategy that is chosen. So इसके लिए भी हम जो example है, we are going to consider the same example that we have used for Maximin problem, and here on your screen you can see that we have shown we have selected the same payoff matrix, and that is, it is the same firm which has to decide whether to invest or not to invest, and if it, in case it decides to invest, then the success, in case of success the return is $20,000, and in case of failure the loss is 10,000. Whereas if it decides not to invest, then the return and loss both are equal to 0. In this case, in order to apply this principle, that is minimax principle, regret criterion principle, the first step that the firm or the manager has to take is to construct the regret matrix. This is what you can see on your screen. The regret matrix, as we have said, that the firm or the manager first, it has to decide about the maximum regret. मैक्सिमम जो रिग्रेट है वो क्या है, पहले फर्म को ये डिसाइड करना है. और यहाँ पे हम जो है फर्स्ट कॉलम को अगर आप देखेंगे, इफ़ यू लुक एट द फर्स्ट कॉलम एंड द स्टेट ऑफ नेचर इज़ इन दिस केस सक्सेस. तो आप जब इसमें देखेंगे तो आप देखते हैं कि सक्सेस का जो है वो 20,000 है. इसमें जो मैक्सिमम रिग्रेट है वो क्या हो सकता है, हम इसमें देख सकते हैं कि रिग्रेट मैट्रिक्स में हमारा जो फर्स्ट कॉलम है दैट इज सक्सेस व्हेन द स्टेट ऑफ नेचर इज सक्सेस, एंड द सेकंड कॉलम इज व्हेन द स्टेट ऑफ नेचर इज फेलियर. सो फॉर दिस पर्पस वी हैव सेड दैट जो रिग्रेट है दैट इज इक्वल टू 0 फॉर द बेस्ट strategy. For the best strategy, and if it is a correct strategy, then the payoff is always equal to 0. क्योंकि अगर आपने कोई ऐसा strategy जो है वो आपने select की है जिसमें आपका कोई नुकसान नहीं हुआ बल्कि आपको जो है इसमें return आपके पास आया है, तो वो जाहिर है कि उस सूरत में आप कहते हैं कि आपका regret जो है, that you have no regrets for that, for adopting or for selecting a certain decision. जो भी आप decision लेते हैं उस पे आपको कोई regret नहीं होता. So the regret in that case is equal to 0. So if we look at the at the payoff matrix here, we can see that the regret matrix is constructed, and in this column of under success, when the firm decides to invest and the success is return of the success is 20,000, therefore in this case the firm has no regrets. Now look at the bottom entry, that is 20,000. If the firm decides, if the strategy that the firm undertakes is not to invest, in that case obviously the maximum regret will be equal to $20,000. Obviously यहाँ पे firm जो है अगर वो डिसाइड करती है कि वो नहीं इन्वेस्ट करेगी तो वो $20,000 जो वो अर्न कर सकती थी अब नहीं करेगी. सो इट्स रिग्रेट इज इन मॉनेटरी टर्म दिस इज इक्वल टू 20,000. जो हम न्यूमेरिकली उसको 20,000 के बराबर कहेंगे. That is 20,000 minus 0 is equal to 20,000. Now look at the second column, that is second column of the regret matrix, that is under the state of failure. In this case, as you can see that the top entry is equal to 10,000 and the bottom entry is equal to 0. ये हमने जैसे अभी आपसे कहा कि firm जो है it will compare the two, in this case the outcomes are 2, and it will compare the two outcomes and it will select the maximum or maximum regret. तो इसमें जो maximum regret है आप देख सकते हैं कि failure की सूरत में there is we can see the state of nature in the original payoff matrix. Look at the failure column, you can see that there are two values, that is minus 10,000 and 0. So the worst possible in this case, the maximum regret is equal to इसमें अगर आप compare करते हैं तो कौन सी value जो है वो larger है and which value is the smaller. The payoff, the larger payoff in this case is equal to 0, while the smaller payoff is minus 10,000. Obviously 0 is greater than minus 10,000. And we have said that for best और जो अगर बेस्ट स्ट्रैटेजी हम अडॉप्ट करते हैं तो उस सूरत में हमारा रिग्रेट जो है दैट इज इक्वल टू 0. अदरवाइज इट इज इक्वल टू द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द best strategy payoff and the strategy that which has been chosen. So in this case it is 0 minus 10,000, so that the regret will be equal to 10,000. And you can see that under the column of failure regret matrix में हमारी जो first entry है that is equal to 10,000. Because the difference between the best one here, that is the maximum 0 minus 10,000, as a result we get 10,000. Now the second entry, that is the bottom entry in this column, is equal to 0. तो इस तरह से ये regret matrix जो है, once this regret matrix is constructed, then the manager has to decide. We have said that these are the maximum regret values, and then the firm has to decide which value or which payoff minimizes its opportunity cost of making a wrong decision. So this is the opportunity cost of making a wrong decision. तो इसके लिए इसको मिनिमाइज करने के लिए नेक्स्ट स्टेप में हम नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में देखते हैं. You can see that this matrix, payoff matrix, first it was extended by including the regret matrix, and now we have extended it further and we have included another column which is the last column here, and that is, you can see on your screen, that is labeled as maximum regret. Now at this stage the firm has to select the maximum regret. पहले उसने जो हमने कहा है जो worst possible जो maximum regrets थे हमने उससे regret matrix जो है वो किया है, और इसके बाद इसको minimize करने के लिए regrets को, now the firm will minimize the regrets, and here we can see the maximum regrets for both the strategies are listed here. These are 10,000 and 20,000. So the firm will minimize its regrets by selecting 10,000 in red, as you can see. तो इसमें फिर हमारा decision जो firm का है, what is the decision of the firm? The decision of the firm in this case is to adopt the strategy of investing. क्योंकि हम देख सकते हैं, as you can see on your screen, that the firm, the two strategies which are open to the firm are to invest or not to invest. In case the firm invests, the maximum regret जो इसको हो सकता है that is in the form of a loss of 10,000 and that is equal to 10,000. Okay, but if the firm decides not to invest, the maximum regret is equal to 20,000 क्योंकि इसमें हमें ये possibility भी देखना है कि अगर firm invest करती तो वो $20,000 उसको रिटर्न में मिल सकते थे प्रॉफिट के तौर पर एंड अगर वो डिसाइड करती कि वो इन्वेस्ट जो है नहीं करेगी देन देयर इज़ अ मैक्सिमम रिग्रेट ऑफ 20,000 विच इज़ इक्वल टू 20,000. सो मिनिमम यहाँ पे द फर्म विल हेयर सिलेक्ट द मिनिमम वैल्यू जो है वो यहाँ पे 10,000 है एंड वी हैव सेड अर्लियर दैट द फर्म विल मिनिमाइज इट्स अपॉर्चुनिटी cost of making a wrong decision, and in that case obviously it will select the value 10,000 which is associated with the strategy of invest, that is the firm in this case will invest. तो वो इन्वेस्ट करेगी तो मैक्सिमम पॉसिबल जो उसका रिग्रेट होगा वो उस सूरत में होगा जब उसको लॉस होगा एंड दैट लॉस इज इक्वल टू 10,000. तो इस तरह से हम देख सकते हैं दैट वी हैव कंसिडर्ड दीज टू डिसीजन मेकिंग रूल्स under the situation of uncertainty. The one that we have discussed earlier, that was maximum decision criterion, and now the second one, which is minimax decision regret criterion decision. So we can see that when we compare these two as in the context of this example, we can see that in the previous rule the firm has picked the decision not to invest, and we have said that this is presenting a pessimistic approach towards the investment decision making. While in this case, using the same example, the firm is choosing the other strategy, which is to invest and to introduce a new product. सो इस तरह से दोनों ये जो रिजल्ट्स हैं हमारे डिफरेंट हैं एंड वी कैन सी दैट द फर्म नाउ टू डिसाइड विच रूल इज़ अप्लाइड दिस विल डिपेंड ऑन द एज आई सेड अर्लियर दिस विल डिपेंड ऑन द डिग्री ऑफ अवर्जन ऑफ द मैनेजर्स कि कितने वो रिस्क अवर्स हैं या रिस्क न्यूट्रल हैं या रिस्क सीकर हैं. This will depend on their attitude towards the risk, and the other thing is that this will also depend on the nature of project which is being considered. This will also depend on which rule is to be applied and under which condition. So in under condition of uncertainty, we have discussed these two decision making rules, that is maximin and minimax regret criterion. Next, we are going to consider the relationship between risk and information. And in this context, we are going to explain three very important concepts, that is asymmetric information, and the second one is adverse selection, and the third concept is moral hazard. In order to explain these important concepts, let me give you the formal definition. As you can see these definitions on screen. The asymmetric information, this is a situation in which one party to a transaction has less information than the other with regard to the quality of a good. The next important term that we are going to explain here is adverse selection, and this adverse selection is a problem that arises from asymmetric information, that is low quality good drive high quality goods out of the market. And as I said, the last term here that we are going to explain is moral hazard. Moral hazard is a tendency for the probability of loss to increase when the loss is ensured. Methods of reducing moral hazard are specifying precautions as a condition for obtaining insurance or co-insurance. Now, coming to the first problem here, that is related to asymmetric information. Asymmetric information, as we have said here, that it is the situation where to a transaction there are obviously always two parties. For a transaction, one party is the buyer and the other party is the seller. In this case, the information of one party is greater than the other one. And for this purpose, traditionally the example of market of lemons is given, that is the market for used cars. This is related to the name of the economist George Akerlof, And this was this market for lemons, quality, uncertainty, and the market mechanism. It is a 1970 paper by the economist George Akerlof. And this paper discusses information asymmetry, which occurs when the sellers know more about a product than the buyer. Akerlof, Michael Spence, and Joseph Stiglitz, they jointly received the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Science in 2001 for their research related to asymmetric information. This paper was written by George Akerlof in 1970. This was published in 1970, and in this paper he has discussed the problem of the market for the used cars. The market for the used cars, it is also commonly it is known as market for lemons. In this case, there are two types of used cars in the market which are offered for sale. That is, those cars which are relatively better, those are called goods, and those cars which require a great deal of repair, जो कि बहुत कॉस्टली होती है, इनके ऊपर जो रिपेयर आती है, जो यूज्ड कार हैं, तो उन कार्स को जो है बैड्स कहा गया है. और ही हैज़ यूज्ड द टर्म लेमन्स फॉर द बैड कार्स एंड द टर्म चेरीज फॉर द रिलेटिवली बेटर कार्स. तो इसमें जो यूज्ड कार की मार्केट है उसमें प्रॉब्लम ये होती है कि जो एक पार्टी है, दैट इज़ द बायर, द प्रोस्पेक्टिव बायर्स जो हैं, उनकी नॉलेज या उनकी जो इंफॉर्मेशन है अबाउट द क्वालिटी ऑफ द कार्स, दैट इज़ रिलेटिवली क्वाइट स्मॉल एज कम्पेयर टू द information which the sellers have about their cars. अब sellers को अच्छी तरह से मालूम है कि उसकी कार में क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, और अगर वो इस कार को एक अच्छी प्राइस पे बेच देता है, सेल कर देता है, तो जो बायर है उसके लिए एक प्रॉब्लमेटिक ये एक जो गुड है उसने ख़रीद ली है कार, और इस पर उसको बहुत ज़्यादा हो सकता है कि कॉस्ट जो है करनी पड़े. दैट इज़ इट नीड्स अ लॉट ऑफ रिपेयर्स, और रिपेयर्स जो हैं वो काफ़ी कॉस्टली हैं. तो इस सूरत में the situation here is that one party has more information and the other party has relatively less information about the quality of the product or the service. And in this case we are using the example of used cars, which are commonly in this case called, the term market for lemons was used by George Akerlof. तो इस तरह से इसमें ये होता है कि जो कार्स जो रिलेटिवली बेटर हैं उसमें और उनकी प्राइसेस ज़्यादा हैं, दे आर ऑल्सो द यूज्ड कार्स बट देयर क्वालिटी इज़ मच बेटर. Those cars are withdrawn from the market by their sellers, and as a result only those cars remain in the market which are called lemons, and which are the bad cars. Obviously their quality is quite bad. तो इस तरह से उनकी प्राइस जो है वो बहुत कम हो जाती है. और यहाँ पे हमने देखा कि जो अच्छी जो रिलेटिवली बेटर कार्स थी वो मार्केट में से बाहर हो जाती हैं. एंड इन दिस केस दिस इज़ कॉल्ड दैट द lemons have driven out the cherries. in this case ये जो अच्छी क्वालिटी की गाड़ियाँ थी या कार्स थी वो मार्केट में से बाहर हो गई हैं. एंड दिस इज़ कॉल्ड द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ adverse selection. This problem of adverse selection, it is not only applicable to the market for used car. We can use it in any other case. For example, insurance में जो insurance का companies का जो problem होता है उसमें भी इसको काफ़ी हद तक use किया जा सकता है. इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज में इस सूरत में हम कह सकते हैं कि जो हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस है, इन दैट केस द इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट द हेल्थ ऑफ अ पर्सन and the information about the health of a person as far as the insurance company knows or the person himself or herself knows. Obviously यहाँ पे जो भी individual जो है वो अपनी इंश्योरेंस करवा रहा है, तो अपनी हेल्थ की इंश्योरेंस करवा रहा है, तो उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन जो है वो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी की निस्बत बहुत ज़्यादा है. इसमें ये भी हो सकता है कि इंश्योरेंस कंपनी ऑब्वियसली वो उनका मेडिकल चेकअप्स वगैरह करते हैं, लेकिन फिर भी जितनी इंफॉर्मेशन या नॉलेज आपको अपनी सेहत के बारे में है वो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी को नहीं हो सकती. So this also gives rises to the problem of adverse selection. So in this case again this gives rise to the problem of adverse selection, and in this case we can explain it in the terms that healthy people and unhealthy people, they both of these classes they insure themselves. और इसमें ये होगा कि अनहेल्दी जो लोग हैं वो ज़्यादा अपने आप को इंश्योर करवाएंगे, जिसका रिजल्ट क्या होगा कि इसमें जो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी है वो अपना प्रीमियम जो है इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम उसको बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ा देगी. तो इसके नतीजे में जो हेल्दी पीपल हैं वो इंश्योरेंस नहीं करवाएंगे और उनका जो एडवांटेज है वो इसमें ख़त्म हो जाता है. दैट इज़ वाई वी कॉल इट अगेन हियर द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ एडवर्स सिलेक्शन इज़ देयर. It's not just the problem of adverse selection in case of health, it can be in case of other accidents like accidents, fire और इस तरह से जिसमें इंश्योरेंस जो है फर्म्स जो हैं वो अपनी इंश्योरेंस करवाती हैं. फॉर इंस्टेंस अपनी जो व्हीकल्स होती हैं और ट्रक्स वगैरह उन सबको इंश्योर करवाया जाता है एंड सिमिलरली फायर के अगेंस्ट भी इंश्योर करवाया जाता है. तो इसके नतीजे में जो थर्ड टर्म है, द थर्ड कॉन्सेप्ट दैट वी हैव हियर मेंशन्ड, दैट इज़ द मॉरल हैज़र्ड. The concept of moral hazard can be explained with the help of an example. That is, if the firm insure itself against fire or insure all its vehicles for accidents, तो इस सूरत में ये है कि जो responsibility है that shifts from the individual or from the firms to the towards the insurance company. तो इस तरह से जो firm है या individuals हैं they become less वो इसमें precautions जो हैं against illness, fire और accidents वो उनकी कम हो जाती हैं. As a result, what happens that the drivers they drive recklessly, carelessly और accident का जो probability है वो पहले से ज़्यादा हो जाती है. इसी तरह से इलनेस की प्रोबेबिलिटी भी ज़्यादा हो सकती है और फायर की भी हो सकती है इफ़ द फायर डिटेक्टर आर नॉट इंस्टॉल्ड इन द फार्म. तो इस तरह से ये जो प्रॉब्लम है दैट इज़ कॉल्ड मॉरल हैज़र्ड. दैट इज़ इसमें जो मेन चीज़ है वो यही है कि जो प्रोबेबिलिटी है एक्सीडेंट्स की, फायर की या इलनेस की, दैट इज़ इंक्रीज ड्यू टू द less precautionary measures which are taken on the part of the firm or on the part of an individual. That is how we have related the information and risk, and we have used for this purpose we have explained the problem of asymmetrical information, moral hazard and the adverse selection problem. तो यहाँ पे हमने देखा कि we have tried to explain the situation under uncertainty and risk. As far as uncertainty is concerned, we have seen that different measures can be used, different methods can be used, but no method is flawless and we cannot say that this is the best one. So but as far as these methods or tools are concerned which are used to eliminate or used to reduce the element of risk or uncertainty, we cannot eliminate uncertainty or risk completely. All we can do is that we can reduce the harmless consequences of risk and uncertainty by using these tools that we have learned in these lectures. With that we come to an end of today's session and end of this topic, that is the topic of risk analysis, and we end our session today. Thank you. Khuda Hafiz.